Hello students, welcome to today's English language class. We have completed with a few chapters already with you. Today we shall begin with learning what phrases and clauses are. This is chapter 18 in your textbook. Chapter 18, phrases and clauses. I would like you to open this chapter before you listen to this video explanation. Children, first of all, we need to understand the differences between a phrase, a clause and a sentence. What is a phrase? A phrase is a group of words which does not have a complete meaning. It is a part of a sentence. So a phrase is a part of a sentence. It is made up of a group of words, but it may have some meaning. However, it can never have a complete meaning. Let us take a few examples and understand what a phrase is. Say example, a golden bowl. This is a phrase, okay? A golden bowl, yes, it gives us some meaning. A bowl which is made of gold or which is golden in color, but we cannot say that this is, it gives a complete meaning because it is a part of a sentence. It cannot be used independently in this form. Some more examples. A wise vizier. A wise vizier. Okay. Here again, a wise vizier. We are talking about, a phrase which describes probably the vizier. He is a wise vizier. Yet this does not have a complete meaning. Okay. So this is how we use a phrase in a sentence. It is definitely a part of a sentence, but it can never have a complete meaning on its own. Now let's see what a clause is. What is a clause? How different is a phrase from a clause? Clause. A group of words again, which may have an independent meaning or may not have an independent meaning. Okay. So we find that a clause is also a group of words. It is also a part of a sentence. A clause may have an independent meaning. It may not, or it may not have an independent meaning. For example, look at these sentences. When evening came, these clauses rather, sorry. When evening came is an example of a clause here. Whom everybody admires, this is also an example of a clause here. Now these clauses, you will see, they have no independent meaning. Hence they are called subordinate clauses. When evening came, does it make a sense on its own? No. But when this is used as a part of a sentence, say, he arrived when evening came. The clause, when it is used in a sentence, it does make a sense, but when it is used independently without this part, it makes no sense at all. This is how a clause is used in a sentence. Now clauses are of two kinds, main clause and subordinate clause. When a clause has an independent meaning, it is called a main clause. When a clause does not have an independent meaning and depends on the main clause for the completion of its meaning, it is called a subordinate or dependent clause. Like if you analyze this sentence here, this sentence can be divided into main clause and subordinate clause. He arrived. A clause here, we find that the clause here, he arrived, is a main clause. He is the subject. Arrived is the verb used here. Now the main clause will have the subject in it and it will also have a verb in it, and it does make a complete sense as well. He arrived. Only he arrived does make a sense. It also sounds grammatically correct, right? There's no wrong in it, no mistake in it. This is how, you know, a main clause and a subordinate clause is used in a sentence. This is where the subordinate clause depends on the main clause for the completion of its meaning, and the main clause has an independent meaning on its own. Now this entire thing taken together is a sentence. So this is the difference between a phrase, a clause, and a sentence. A phrase is a group of words which is a part of a sentence but does not make a complete sense. You know, when it is not used in connection with the other words in the sentence. A clause may be divided into two, a main clause and subordinate clause. A sentence may have one main clause, it may have one or more subordinate clauses. The main clause will usually have the subject and the verb used in it, and it will make a complete sense. And a sentence usually consists of a clause. It will consist of a main clause, it may consist of phrases, and therefore it makes a complete sense. This is the basic difference between the three. Now what we will be learning this year is, we will be learning the different kinds of phrases and the different kinds of clauses. We will also learn to transform sentences from one from one phrase to another clause. Say from adjective phrase to adjective clause, from adverb phrase to adverb clause, and vice versa. We will focus on only three kinds of phrases and clauses, that is noun, adverb, and adjective. Now we will learn what the different kinds of phrases are today. In the next class we will learn what the different types of clauses are, and then in the third class we will learn about this interchanging of phrases and clauses. Okay, so the first kind of phrase we are going to discuss now is adjective phrase. In your books you will find there are noun phrase, prepositional phrases also given, and verb phrase also being given. I'll just explain those to you in short, but we'll begin with the first three important types that I told you we are going to deal with seriously. So the first is the adjective phrase. Okay, what is an adjective phrase? Now remember that children, phrases are made by combining different types of words into a group. There is always a particular word around which the group of words or a phrase is framed or formed. These words that play the central role in the phrase is called its main word or the head word. Like in an adjective phrase, we'll find the phrase has got the adjective as the head word. In the adverb phrase, we will find the adverb, the head word is the adverb. In the noun phrase also we'll find that the head word is the noun in the phrase, and hence this is how we identify adjective, adverb, and noun phrase. Now let's take up some examples to understand the adjective phrase. The first sentence, the magistrate was a kind man. Here a kind man is a phrase and it is an adjective phrase because the head word in this phrase is kind. We are talking about the man who has the quality of being kind. So kind here is the head word, and therefore a kind man is an adjective phrase. You know that an adjective qualifies a noun. Man is the noun here. Therefore kind is the adjective which qualifies the noun. So this is an adjective phrase. Next, the coolies belonged to a hill tribe. Okay, the coolies belong to a hill tribe. Here a hill tribe is again the adjective phrase. Here tribe is the noun. What kind of tribe are they? They are the tribe who dwell in the hills. So this is the adjective which adds meaning to the tribes, talking about where they actually hail from or the place of their dwelling. So this is an adjective phrase. This is how the adjective works as the head word in these examples. Hence these are called adjective phrases. Now moving on to adverb phrases. The thief ran with great speed. Let us take this example first. The thief ran with great speed. Okay, so here the phrase is with great speed. How did the thief run? The thief ran with great speed. Does this remind you of adverb of quality that you have learnt last year? when we identify adverb phrases or adverb clauses, remember you have to keep in your mind, those clear ideas of the kinds of adjectives, because only when you're clear about the kinds of adjectives, then will you be easily able to identify the adverb phrase. See, the thief ran with great speed. With great speed, how did he run? This is adjective of adverb, sorry children, not adjective, adverb. This is adverb of quality, with great speed. How did they run? How did the thief run? With great speed, adverb of quality. He did his work in a careless manner. How did he do his work? In a careless manner. In a careless manner again talks about adverb of quality. So you are to remain very clear about adverb of quality, adverb of quantity, adverb of number, adverb of time, okay, adverb of place, how these are used in these phrases. Only then will you be able to easily identify the adverb phrase. Now coming to the noun phrase, let us again take a few examples. Now noun phrase also has the noun as its head word. The boy wants to go home. To go home is the phrase here. What does the boy want to do? Or what does he want to do? He wants to go home. What does the boy want? In fact, what does the boy want? He wants to go home. So this to go home, children, if we replace this entire part with something, that gives us the answer to the noun phrase. The boy wants something. What is it? It is to go home. So this stands as the noun phrase. Fine. So we may ask question with what, or we may replace the noun phrase with something. Then we easily understand that this is a noun phrase when this gives us a clear answer to the something. Early to bed is a good maxim. Can you identify which is the noun phrase here? What is a good maxim? Early to bed. Or something is a good maxim. What is it? It is early to bed. So this stands as the noun phrase. The boy wants to go home. The boy wants something. Or what does the boy want? To go home becomes the noun phrase. When we ask question with what, we get the answer to the noun phrase. Or when we replace the noun phrase with something, also we get the answer. Early to bed is a good maxim. What is a good maxim? Early to bed. Again, that clearly tells us this is the noun phrase. Or something is a good maxim. Here, in fact, the answer questioning with what stands more appropriate than replacing this with something. But remember one thing, that a noun phrase is the simplest and the easiest to identify, because you can easily ask a question with what, you get the answer to it, you know that's the noun phrase. Or the sentence is such that when you replace the noun phrase with something, you will get a clear answer. Understand? That is the noun phrase. So this is how you will easily identify the noun phrase. Okay, we'll stop here today, children. I'll end my class here today. In the next class, we'll understand what clauses are. Adverb, adjective and noun clauses are. Then we'll learn to replace those clauses with phrases and vice versa, and we'll transform the sentences. Until then, children, thank you. Bye bye. Have a nice day.